In the dim glow of the Queendom lounge, the rhythm of jobbers drifted through the air like a heartbeat that refused to fade. The night had a kind of magnetic pull, quiet, slow, and full of attention that lingered in every glance, in every silent space between words. Wanmai leaned against the plush velvet of the couch, her eyes fixed, drawn to Saifon across the room. The music, with its foreign yet strangely familiar melody, echoed the words she had never dared to say aloud. Hold me, don't let go. Saifon was radiant, an image of calm captivation, her dark hair falling gently over one shoulder. She was talking to someone, a soft smile playing on her lips, but every so often, her gaze would flicker toward Wanmai. It wasn't the first time their eyes had met like that, in a silent conversation that spoke volumes. Nor was it the first time the quiet between them felt louder, more charged, than any spoken word. Tonight, though, something was different. A new energy hummed in the air. Maybe it was the haunting melody of the song, or maybe it was the way their hearts had unconsciously started to sync with its yearning rhythm. Wanmai knew she couldn't resist it any longer. The invisible thread pulling her towards Saifon had grown too strong to ignore. She pushed herself off the couch and began to cross the room. Each step was measured, deliberate, every breath trembling with a mix of heart-pounding fear and exhilarating anticipation. As she drew closer, Saifon turned, her lips parting in surprise. But that surprise melted away instantly, softening into a warm, knowing smile when she saw who it was. You came, Saifon whispered, her voice barely audible over the music, yet it cut through the noise and went straight to Wanmai's heart. I couldn't stay away, Wanmai replied, her own voice low but firm, like someone finally surrendering to a force they'd fought for too long. They stood close now, so close that the world around them began to blur and fade away. The low chatter of the lounge, the distant clinking of glasses, the flicker of the ambient lights. Everything dissolved until only the palpable pulse between them remained, a living, breathing thing. Wanmai's hand brushed against Saifon's, a touch so light it could have been mistaken for an accident, but it wasn't. It was a question, and Saifon's stillness was the answer. She didn't pull away. The air thickened as Wanmai's fingers gently, bravely, traced the delicate curve of Saifon's wrist, then lingered on her open palm, sending shivers through them both. Every time you walk away, Wanmai confessed, her voice thick with unspoken emotion, I feel like I lose a part of myself. A sad, beautiful smile touched Saifon's lips. Then don't let me walk away this time, she whispered back, her eyes pleading. That was all it took. The remaining space between them, charged with months of unspoken longing, vanished in an instant. Wanmai's hands came up to cup Saifon's face, her thumb brushing over soft, trembling lips. For a beat, they simply breathed each other in, two hearts colliding in profound silence, finally in the same place at the same time. Then, slowly, tenderly, their lips met. The kiss wasn't rushed or demanding. It was gentle, aching, filled with the bittersweet relief of a love that had waited far too long to be acknowledged. It was a kiss that tasted of patience and longing, of quiet moments and stolen glances. Saifon's hands found their way around Wanmai's neck, her fingers tangling in her hair, holding her close as if afraid that breaking the contact would shatter the spell, ending the moment forever. In that embrace, the world outside could have crumbled to dust, and neither of them would have noticed or cared. When they finally, reluctantly, parted, their foreheads rested together, sharing the same breath. I tried to forget you, Saifon whispered, her voice fragile. I didn't, Wanmai confessed, her own voice just as soft. I couldn't. As if on cue, the song swelled, reaching its chorus again, and it felt as though destiny itself was singing their story, affirming their connection. They stood there in the heart of the lounge, swaying gently to the music, their hands now tightly intertwined. In that small corner of Queendom, amidst the dim lights and the soulful music, love had finally found its rhythm, a rhythm that was messy, beautiful, and profoundly real. Wanmai looked deep into Saifon's eyes and saw everything she had ever been searching for reflected back at her: home, peace, and the courage to finally stay. Stay with me, Wanmai said softly, a plea and a promise all in one. A single, happy tear escaped Saifon's eye, glistening like a tiny jewel under the warm light as she smiled. Only if you promise not to let go. Wanmai sealed that promise with another kiss, this one filled with warmth, truth, and the certainty of a new beginning. For the first time in a long time, the world didn't feel like a place to run from. It felt like somewhere worth holding onto. And as the night stretched on, and the poignant song began to play again, Wanmai and Saifon remained, wrapped in their own universe to souls perfectly in harmony, bound by a love that had found its voice, a piece of music that had become their anthem, and a kiss that whispered one simple, powerful truth: hold me, and never let go. Thank you so much for joining me for this story. If you were moved by Wanmai and Saifon's journey, please show some love by hitting that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next story. See you again soon.